Okay, so I'm gonna make a tutorial for people who want to make video game music, but I guess they have no formal training in music theory, or maybe the tutorials that they found online are not as helpful as they would seem. I know when I was looking for tutorials, usually I'd see people who would either just show their song off or people who would just input notes but not really explain what's going on. And so I wanted to run through this small project. It's really short. Um, I originally made this for a game, but I don't know if it's going to be used or not, but I still like the way it turned out. It was really short and it's not complicated at all, which is why I thought this would be perfect. So if you are just picking up FL Studio or Logic or whatnot, and you really want to start making video game music, I'm going to give you a couple of tips on how to create a song that's not at all too far-fetched and it can easily be done or easily mimicked. And I'm going to start with the piano. This piano pattern is about 8 seconds long, and it repeats throughout the whole song, and it's not at all very complicated. And I'm gonna play that for you right now. You see? Now, that pattern repeats throughout the whole song with no variation whatsoever. So, if you're starting off making a song, I would suggest taking something along the lines of a piano or a harp and making a pattern that repeats at about the 8-second mark, 9-second mark, and make sure that it repeats flawlessly and seamlessly. And then once you have that, you can just place that pattern throughout, like I did on the top here, and with no type of variation, so you don't have to overcomplicate anything. And then after that, that's your ground melody. All you have to do is start building and layering on top of that. So, for example, the next thing I did after I had that ground melody placed throughout the whole song here, I went to the bass. And I did pretty much the same thing with the bass as I did with the piano. And that was to make a pattern that could repeat throughout the whole song that didn't distract or take away from anything that the piano had. And I'm going to play this pattern here quickly. See? Nothing complicated. I did make one variation to the bass later on at this mark here, where it says bass 2. And it's pretty much the same thing, except it plays a little bit more fast paced and it brings a little bit more adrenaline. But still, nothing complicated. So that's what I'm trying to get at this point in time. It doesn't have to be crazy complicated or whatnot to make a good song. It just has to have, I guess, it has to be musically sound. Okay, so now I'm gonna mute everything except for the piano and bass, so you can kind of hear how that would sound on its own. Not too bad, but it's a little dry. So I'd recommend putting in, I guess they can be called filler instruments. So for this project, I used the harp as a filler instrument. The pattern again was really simple, and here's what it sounds like. And that's about it. And that same pattern is running through the whole song pretty much, except for the places I, clearly take it out. But I don't make any variations to that pattern, and I kind of just place them where need be, where I see fit. So now that you have the filler instrument, let's see how that all sounds together. Now, the glue to, I guess, most of your tracks are probably going to be the drums. And the drums are like my favorite part. I'm not exactly sure why. I'm not great with them, but I have a couple of patterns down for the drums here at the bottom in this pink area here. I don't really have advice on drums. I think as long as you're on the beat, as long as you place the kicks and snares accordingly, there shouldn't be much of an issue. Um, my drum pattern wasn't crazy at all. Um, I have my hi-hats pretty much moving at a constant rate of I think it's every 2 steps, right? Every 2 steps. So if you go to any of your percussion equipment and right click it, you'll get this window that comes up, and you can hit every 8 steps or you can hit every 4 steps. But for this project, I hit every 2 steps, and I just kind of kept that and played with only the kicks and the snares. So next in line, I think, would just be the melody. Once the drums are going, it kind of sounds a lot more full actually, more full of life. And here's that sound now. So now that the beat is going, the only thing that's really left is to just add a melody. And for this piece, I guess the only thing I really used were the bass clarinet, which I'm going to turn on now, and the brass to support it. And somewhere down in the middle here, I added strings for some support, and I even included a flute to uh, kind of support the clarinet that's going on up here, this clarinet main melody. And that's pretty much the end of the song. Like once you have your ground melody, which in this case was the piano, and then you have a bass going, and then you have a filler notes, and now your drums are good. All you have to do is kind of what I did was I played the song and kind of sat down with my MIDI keyboard and started hitting the notes a little bit and playing around with it until I had a melody that I wanted to kind of put in. And so the bass clarinet, it doesn't sound too great on its own, to tell you the truth. Here's the pattern for that now. That's pretty much the main pattern, but there's another one down here that I use for the kind of the main melody, and that's this. Really, really straightforward. So now pretty much everything together, it's gonna sound like this. Let me just turn the volume down a little bit. And that's pretty much it. So hopefully that really did help. I'm not sure if it did or not, but hit me up with a comment or a message. If I went too fast or you want something to be explained in depth, I'll give it a try. By no means am I a professional. I am actually just an amateur, but I know first starting off was a little bit rough for me, especially with no one to really guide me, except for a lot of confusing tutorials. But like I said, I hope this helped, and have a good one.